Hi, my name is David Norman Peters, named after my dad's brother. And I was in the United States Navy as a hospital corpsman, and I ended up being a second class before my Navy time was done. But I went to Vietnam once. I spent a lifetime there 1 year, and this is my story. Hi everyone, this is David Peters, and I'm proud to be an American. I was born in Superior, Wisconsin in 1946. The heritage comes from the military. My dad and all his brothers, except for one, was in the Navy, and it always impressed me. So in 1965, I was not doing well in school. And I told my dad I wanted to go in the service, and he was kind of disgusted, I think, but he knew that I was growing up and becoming my own person. So I went down to the Navy recruiter, and it so happened that there was a United States Marine Corps gunnery sergeant that was in the same recruiting office as the Navy. He tried to get me to enlist in the Marine Corps, and I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go in the Navy like my dad. And so I signed up, and I got preferential treatment because I had more than a year of college. So I got an advancement before I even went in. And boot camp in Great Lakes was phenomenal. I got sick halfway through, but managed to graduate pretty much on time. And the barracks that I was initially in were the same barracks that my dad was in 1942. We found his initials and my mom's initials carved in the quarterdeck post. He was ecstatic when I told him that. And following the days after boot camp, I went to hospital corps school through the grace of God. I thought I wanted to be a cook, but it turned out that an influential person, another corpsman, was convincingly enough to have me put in for hospital corps or a dental technician. And in those days, Vietnam was starting to get hot and heavy. And because of that, they were grabbing everyone that would volunteer as a corpsman. So I did 14 weeks of school at Great Lakes Naval Training Center, became a hospital corpsman, and then worked for about 4 months at the Great Lakes Naval Hospital in an orthopedic urology ward where I saw lots of Marines coming back with orthopedic injuries from Vietnam. It kind of opened my eyes, but at that point, it was too late. And in September of 1966, orders came down that sent me to the 1st Marine Division, Fleet Marine Force, which meant Vietnam, and to reinforce the troops that had been wounded or finished their first tour. And before I left Great Lakes, they sent me to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Wow, green utilities, perfect for hunting. I couldn't believe it, but I got in trouble there because the Marine Corps wears little tiny gold emblems to signify their rank or whatever rank they are. And I couldn't see those well enough, and I would walk by a second lieutenant, and I'd end up doing push-ups on the deck because I didn't salute him. I soon learned that look for those little collar insignias and pay attention to it. Fortunately, when I finished Fleet Marine training, It was Christmas time, and we were supposed to leave immediately for Vietnam. Well, powers to be said, hey, let's let these guys go home for Christmas. I was thrilled. I went home for a couple of weeks, and my dad thought that would be the last time he might see me. I have to go back for a second to the graduation of Hospital Corps School in June of '66. Captain Gilpin was a physician who had been in World War II, Korea, and now he was in charge of training these young corpsmen to go to the Marines and walk the rice paddies. And when we graduated, Captain Gilpin cried because he knew there was a bunch of people in that room that would not make it back from Vietnam. Well, I never had that thought. I wasn't scared. And I thought, wow, I get to go to California, Travis Air Force Base, jump off. Oh, maybe I'll see some hippies. It was 1966 after all. And it came true. We took the bus, or the bus from the San Francisco airport out to Travis Air Force Base, and we caught our plane to Okinawa. And we got to Okinawa, we spent a week there, and your eyes kind of get open. Here's a young kid from Wisconsin that never saw this kind of stuff. They had bars up and down BC Street and Silver Street, prostitutes everywhere you looked. For that reason, they only gave us liberty one night and that whole week that we were in Okinawa. It was a smart thing they did, because a lot of these young troops would have gone down there and lost their life savings with the prostitutes and the bars. So the morning my name was called, we got on the plane, and by golly, we flew to Hawaii and we refueled. My world was opening. I had been to Illinois, North Carolina, California, Okinawa, Hawaii, and when we left Okinawa, we landed at Da Nang, and even that was an adventure because the plane didn't glide in like you're landing at Spokane International. It dropped out of the sky at a steep angle because they didn't want to get shot at coming into the landing strip. It was scary. We got on the runway, they taxied over, and when the doors open, this was January. The humidity and the heat just poured into that plane, and you thought, oh my goodness, what in the world did I come here for? It was hot, and this was the monsoon coming up. So we were formed up, and the chief from the 1st Marine Division came down, and he had all the corpsmen sanctuaried over in this corner here, and he started telling, you're going to the 2nd Marine Battalion, the 2nd Marine Regiment, 7th Battalion. This other guy is going to 126. This guy is going to 3-5. Peters, I'm sending you down to the 1st Medical Battalion. I couldn't believe my ears. It was like a MASH unit. Pretty exciting. And they took care of anything and everything there. So we got down there, as a couple of us, and they didn't have their stuff together at 1st Med. They had us for a week. We were painting pieces of wood. I actually was sent out to a bunker on the edge of the perimeter. It had an M60 machine gun there that I could play with. No ammunition though. They had corpsmen doing guard duty out on the perimeter. It was unbelievable. Oh, I found a K-bar. Oh, nice. So for several days I practiced throwing a knife and I got pretty good at it. So anyway, at the end of that time, they put me to work in an infection control unit. It was a small ward because there's lots of stuff that goes on in Vietnam. Like you carry a canteen of water to drink, but when it's gone, what do? You dip water out of the rice paddy and drink it, and you get intestinal parasites that could kill you. And that's what we treated. So that was my time. I wasn't too excited about it, but when they had a mass casualty come in, I could get down to triage and do a little bit of work. And I learned how to start IVs down there. Pretty good. And I thought, you know, this isn't going to last. It's pretty safe here, but I know I'm going to be sent to the grunt. So I talked to my buddy Anthony Peters, who had finished 6 months with the 1st Recon Battalion. And he said, Dave, you'd be smart if you volunteered for something that you liked. If you don't volunteer, they're going to send you out to the grunts where you hike 20 miles a day looking for a gunfight. I said, I don't like that idea too much. And I asked him about recon. He said, well, recon's a small elite unit that everyone carries an automatic weapon. You crawl around the mountains, self-sustained. Everything you have is on your back. And you try to avoid gunfights because they want you to be the eyes and the ears of the 1st Marine Division. Find out how many Viet Cong are in this area, what kind of weapons do they have, what are they doing. And so I thought that over and I went down to personnel and I said, I want to put in a request to go to 1st Recon. And Anthony actually took me down to Camp Reesner where a recon was located. And I met some of the people there and they seemed to approve of me. It was kind of touchy, but I felt welcome. Before I got to recon, I became part of a thing they called Sparrowhawk. It was a backup where if a grunt unit got in big trouble and had a lot of people killed or wounded, they would resupply those troops with Sparrowhawk people who would come in and take the place of those people that were wounded. So I think at that point I'm going to stop talking because this is a very harrowing story that's coming up in the next episode. Thank you. I'm glad to be home.